What is up, mathletes? Welcome back to the episode of Math with Dr. Math. And today we're going to be looking at how to compute those percentiles. Don't go anywhere. All right, mathletes, so let's go ahead and let's jump in here and let's look at how to compute percentiles. All right, so here's a table here that we're going to be using for this example. And what we want to do is we're going to analyze, here we have the annual rainfall in LA during February throughout a whole bunch of various years. All right, so the first thing you do whenever you're calculating percentiles, and when you're plugging these values into, say, list 1 in your calculator, notice we're only going to plug in the rainfalls because that's what we're interested in. And you want to make sure that those numbers, those values are in order, all right? Starting with the smallest to largest. And instead of going through and you manually putting them in there, make sure to have your calculator do that, right? So your calculator is going to sort that nicely for you, all right? And then again, we have a video showing you how to, work through your calculator if you don't know how to sort. All right, so that's the first thing. Make sure your calculator sorts all these values. All right, so that's the most important step. So let's jump in here. So given all these rainfall amounts, let's say that we wanted to calculate a certain percentile. All right, and remember what a percentile is going to do is it's going to separate the lowest, say you're looking at the 40th percentile. So it's going to separate your lowest 40 values from the upper 60%, right? From the upper 60% of the values. So it's going to be some value that's going to separate those into two groups. All right, so let's jump into an example. So here our question is, we want to compute the 60th percentile of Los Angeles rainfall data. All right, so if you're ready, I'm ready. Are you ready? All right, let's do this. So looking at that table, again, make sure everything's in increasing order. Start with the smallest, boom. And so we took care of that. If you noticed in our table, it was already put in order for us. But if it's not, make a note. You got to do that. All right, most important step. Step 2, what we're going to do is we need to find our n value, because the formula that we're going to be doing, that we're going to be using, what that formula does is it gives us the location. It doesn't give us the percentile, it gives us the location of the percentile. All right, so make sure you're aware of that, because a lot of people, they'll do all this math and they'll give us an answer that is just the location. It's not the actual percentile that we're looking for. All right, so our formula, what we do is we take n, we divide it by 100, and then we multiply that, we take the percentile, we divide it by 100, and we're going to multiply that by n. And technically, if I would have wrote the n first and the p second, we would get the same answer. But again, just to make sense of all this, right here we're finding some percentage. So in this case, we're going to be finding the 60th percentile, right? That's the percentage we're looking at. All right, so this is the formula we're going to be using. So in this case, our n is going to be 45, right? Because there's 45 data points. We're looking for the 60th percentile. So this is our p-value. So make sure when they give you the percentile, this is our p-value. If they don't give you the percentile, then you're going to be looking at the wrong question. They're not asking for a percentile. All right, so to compute that percentile. So here to compute the percentile, they have to tell you which one are we interested in, okay? And it's easy to confuse these questions. In our next video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going backwards. We're going to give you a data point, and then we're going to say, what percentile is this? All right, but I'll separate the videos so we don't confuse the two ideas. All right, so we plug everything in, and in this case, we get 27, right? So we do 60 divided by 100, whatever you get, multiply it by 45, right? And this 27 here, this is the location. All right, so you got to be careful here. So when this answers a whole number, this is what you want to make sure to write down. When your answers a whole number, right, this 60th percentile that we're interested in, what you do is you grab the 27th location and the location right after that, which is the 28th location. So if I were to go back to my list on my calculator, I would say what number is sitting in the 27th spot and what number is sitting in the 28th spot. And if I go back real fast to my table, I see the two numbers in the 27th spot and the 28th spot are these two numbers right here. And so what I'm gonna do is I average those two numbers, and that is what's taking place here. I add them up and divide by 2. And this, my friends, is the 60th percentile. All right. So again, once you get your L value, that's not your answer. That's going to help you find the location. And again, when L is a whole number, make sure you take that location plus the next one and average those two. All right. So what happens when it's not a whole number? Well, let's look at an example. So I made a quick example. And in this question, I want to compute the 59th percentile. Right? So essentially we do the same exact thing, same formula, except now we're using P is 59, right? And we see here that this time we get an answer that's a decimal. And these are actually easy because once you get a decimal, and make sure you write this down, if it's not a whole number, you're always gonna round up regardless of what the decimal is. So make sure you have a note of that. So you're always gonna round up to the next higher whole number. So that next higher number would be 57, would be 27. And so what we do is we go back to our table and we looked at that 27th spot, and that whatever's sitting in that 27th spot, that's gonna be our 59th percentile. And let me go back real fast and just to see, and the number that was sitting there was, we said 3.57. So the number sitting in that 27th spot was 3.57. So that right there, my friends, is the 59th percentile. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So this is how you compute percentiles. And what's awesome is if they ever give you quartiles, you do the same thing, right? Say you're trying to find the 25th quartile. The first quartile, which just is a fancy way. It's another way of saying you're looking at the 25th percentile, right? If they say Q3, which is a third quartile, then that means your percentile would be the 75th percentile, right? Because you're 3/4 of the way through. If they said the 50th percentile, that's the same thing as Q2, which is your median. So some more pro tips for you, just in case you were having trouble with those. All right, mathletes, so hopefully this was helpful. Make sure you smash that like button, like the video, and we'll see you mathletes in our next video. Peace. All right, mathletes, thanks for watching. And again, if you like this video, we have some other videos that we think you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.